What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Riders of Justice, the newest film from director Anders Thomas Jensen. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below on any video that you watch, including this one. So imagine, if you will, you are on a train, you have sat down to go home or, to go work or something like that, and you are an individual who is a nice enough person to allow a woman to take your seat so she can sit down, she has a daughter and stuff like that. And in the process, what ends up happening is that train ends up either derailing or exploding, and the probabilities of the fact that you gave up that seat because the woman had died from the explosion or derailment, but you had lived, is what this movie is basically about, which is the probability of things that happen and how the kind of cause and causality affects the eventual conclusion to the story. And so that's what happens in this movie. We have a character who is named Otto, who is an individual who deals with probabilities and stuff like that. He gets on the train. He allows this mother the mother with the daughter to sit down in a seat. Train derails or explodes or whatever. And in the process, he finds out that there was a witness on the train, and the simple fact that this train just derailed and exploded or whatever, the probabilities of just that happening with a witness who is in the middle of testifying against this gang called the Riders of Justice is so slim to none that it becomes evident that there's something more conspiring that's going on in this story. So the daughter, who is named Matilda, has a father, of course, is played by Mads Mikkelsen, who plays Marcus. And Marcus is a war vet. He's in the middle of doing a tour. He comes over, has to take care of his daughter, and in the process, these individuals, Otto, Matilda, and Marcus, basically devise this gang of individuals, these kind of out of place individuals. We have this one character who's like an overweight, computer nerd. We have another one who's like a psychologist, and then we have one who's like the boyfriend of this daughter, stuff like that. And they decide they're going to take down the Riders of Justice, and that's what this movie is about. It's about the idea of what would happen if this situation played out, how would you affect the scenario, and so on and so forth, which is really, really kind of fascinating if you think about it, because it takes the scenario and the ideas and plotting and uses a very unique technique to make the movie play out. And I found that fascinating. I thought that was a great idea and great concept. It doesn't mean that's the entire movie. It's also a revenge thriller, but it's a very fascinating concept of how things are caused and the causality and effect. And so this Riders of Justice movie is a movie that I had heard about through the film festival circuit. It's a movie that was on my radar through reviewers who had seen it and reviewed it already and said it was pretty decent. It had some interesting kind of concepts, with Mads Mikkelsen and whatnot. I did hear that it wasn't Mads Mikkelsen's best film, but that happens. You always have the great films and you always have the interesting kind of weird mediocre films. But it was a film that I was interested in just by the trailer alone. And so going into this movie, knowing that it not only was an action film, but it was also a dark comedy. I love dark comedy films. Ravenous is one of my favorite dark comedies of all time. I will talk about that movie eventually at some point in the future. But it's a movie that really had some potential of being really interesting and fun and using perspective and stuff like that. And I will say this, for my overall review, I really did enjoy this movie. Yes, I agree it has a lot of flaws with the character development and the character motivation and, the way these characters operate, and then somehow they seem kind of superhuman in a lot of aspects. It gets to a conclusion that not necessarily feels 100% well realized and well scripted. It feels a little too convenient. And the bad guys are a little one note. They're similar to, I want to say, like John Wick villains, where you never really on board with the villains, but you want to see John Wick take them down with, chewing bubblegum and kicking ass, but without the bubblegum situation. And it's just that type of movie. It's a Danish director, Danish actors doing something fun and interesting using the probability situation and kind of creating this interesting scenario about this war-torn vet who has to come back and protect his daughter and his friends and so on and so forth and get revenge against the bad guys. And just overall, I think it's a fun movie. It's an entertaining movie. It has some cool violent moments. It has some cool action moments. It's actually weirdly a lot more funnier than I thought it was going to be, thanks to the dark comedy aspect. So like, for instance, like the computer tech guy is probably the funniest guy in the movie because he's just so outlandish and so very tropey when it comes to computer tech guy. He's overweight and he cries about everything. And he's a fun character. He's entertaining, but he can get a little annoying at some aspects, but it's still a fun character. Like I said, Otto, who is the main guy that kind of puts everything in motion, he's an individual that feels, you know, like the kind of, not MacGuffin, but the guy who just kind of sticks his pulling the dirt and everything just kind of pushes forward after that point. But when it comes down to the eventual what you really want to see out of this movie, you want to see Mads Mikkelsen, these guys take on bad guys, and that's exactly what happens in this movie. And I think the director did a nice job shooting the movie. It doesn't get confusing. The action is somewhat competent. It's not saying there's a lot of action in the movie, but the action that's in the movie seems well-rounded and fun and entertaining. It's just the right amount of violence without being too gory and too, excessive and stuff like that. It's not John Wick. It's not going to have dogs tearing down bad guys and stuff like that. It's just individuals who aren't really well versed in the art of combat taking down individuals who are the typical bad guys. This is a biker gang. This is an individuals who very violent in their nature, and they're, what you expect them to be. So with that said, this is the overall nature of this film. It's fun. It's entertaining. Yes, it's subtitled. Yes, it's in Danish. So if you can't handle the subtitle in Danish language, you might not enjoy the film. But it's a film that I think if you can get past that language barrier, I think you'll enjoy. I think you'll like these characters. I think it has some funny moments. I think it has some really dark moments, but it has some just the right amount of violence that it'll keep you entertained, especially if you like action films. And once again, Mads Mikkelsen's in it. He's entertaining, and he is an actor that just proves once, time and time again, that he's taking on projects that are worthy to watch. So it's a fun, entertaining film. But with that said, that'll be my take on this movie, Riders of Justice. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen the movie or if you decided to see the movie. What was your overall take? Did you like it? Did you not like it? All that good stuff. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.